The Bluey movie is being made and will arrive sooner than we imagined.
Hooray!
But can you believe that even so, we're still getting GTA 6 before the Bluey movie?
Oh no.
I remember it like it was yesterday when Joe Brumm announced that he was tired of writing new stories for Bluey. And then, at the same time, in a plot twist impossible to predict, he announced that they were making a movie about the universe's favorite little blue dog. Almost a year after the original announcement, now we have a date, August 6th of 2027? That's right, folks, still kind of far away. And it's almost unbelievable that we got Hollow Knight's Silk Song before the Bluey movie. But as Joseph Clymer says, life is a little box of surprises, isn't it? And with this whole announcement of a new date comes the big question, what's the story of the movie going to be? The series ended pretty clearly showing Bluey as an adult in the last episode, as if to say, look, you followed Bluey up to this point. This is how she's going to be in the end, and that's it. No new episodes, and no answers for a bunch of questions. So how about we answer some of those questions in today's video, huh? If you think that's a good idea, then get the popcorn ready, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into the sea of the biggest theories about the Bluey movie now, on Zigzag. One of the most powerful things they could do for this movie is give more screen time to Aunt Brandy. I don't think making her the protagonist of the movie would be a good idea, but the central plot of the movie could definitely revolve around her. Because if you remember well, there's a moment in The Sign where we see her pregnant. It's something extremely quick. Blink and you miss it, but it's also very significant. Because if you remember, all of Brandy's personal drama revolved around not being able to get pregnant. Having a movie centered on that drama to give it the tone of reality that Bluey knows how to pull off masterfully would be that genius move to make everyone leave the theater crying. Brandy lives far from Bluey's house, which could turn the movie into a family road trip story, where they're trying to make it to the hospital in time for the birth of the new member of the Healer family. In that, we could have the entire main cast of the family, Bluey, Bingo, Bandit, Chili, along with Rad, who is Bandit's brother, and then consequently Frisky, who is now part of the family too. Not to mention Bandit's other brother and his family, Stripe, with Trixie, Muffin, and Socks. Can you imagine all those people traveling together? The chaos it would be? I can totally see the whole theater laughing at how Muffin would turn the trip into a mess. And on top of that, we'd also get the introduction of a new character, who would be Brandy's husband, who we know absolutely nothing about. Because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure Brandy didn't get pregnant out of thin air like the pregnant woman of Taubatay. But still talking about Brandy, there's another possibility for the movie that even worries me a little. And this possibility is that the movie might have a slightly bigger focus on the adults. Since we're talking about Chili's sister, who is finally going to have a child after having trouble getting pregnant, this could be a concern for her because from the episode The Show, we already know that Chili lost her first child before Bluey. Could it be a genetic problem that might complicate the pregnancy? And this could be a secondary plot to what would be happening with Bandit, because as you remember, he turned down an important promotion at his job so he wouldn't have to move. What's going to happen to his old position now that he rejected the promotion? Are they just going to let him go back to where he was and put someone else in the new role? Another thing that could surface as some kind of secondary drama but deserves a bit more screen time is the relationship between Stripe and Trixie, since we always see moments of them arguing in front of others. What would it be like to have them confined in a car and stuck in a road trip situation along with Muffin and the rest of the family, if things aren't going well between them? And all of this could even serve as a contrast to prepare Rad and Frisky to see the future that awaits them, because that way the movie would deal with all the possible themes a couple can go through. The arrival of a new family member, possible pregnancy issues, professional insecurity, marital problems, and chaotic kids. Because we have to remember that all the girls would be right there in the middle of it all. But since Joe Brumm is the master of turning things upside down, if this were the movie's plot, I'm sure he'd be able to resolve all these problems and show us the bright side of it all in a beautiful, tear-jerking ending. Have you ever traveled with your family like that? I bet it was chaotic and fun. So if you like this idea for the Bluey movie, type the hashtag #RoadTrip in the comments. One of the easiest options Ludo has in hand for this movie would be to show what happened with the characters after the sign. One of the things that disappointed me the most with the episode that came right after was that it just felt like another normal episode, as if nothing from the sign had ever happened. It seems to me that the sign should have been the final episode of the season, but for some reason they swapped it with surprise and ended the season that way. It's still really cool to have the surprise, there's the pun, of seeing adult Bluey at the end, but the sign closes so many cycles while also leaving things open that it would have been a perfect ending. So the movie could pick up right where that episode left off. Because, as we've already mentioned, what happened with Bandit after he turned down the promotion must have been very important, since his decision wouldn't have affected only his family. What would Bucky's reaction have been? The real estate agent who had to cancel the house sale. If you remember well, in the episode Dragon, Bandit says that Bucky was his school bully. Do you think that could have caused some beef between them? And what about Bandit's boss, having to tell the guy who was going to take his current job that now it wasn't going to happen anymore? As you can see, there are a lot of unanswered questions that the movie could explore. One possible direction for the movie would be to move away from everything we've already seen in the series and make a time jump, showing Bluey as a teenager. In the Jean-Luc episode, we already had a glimpse of this when she appears reading under the shade of the tree she planted as a child. This detail shows that, besides being creative from an early age, reading may have become a way for her to explore her imagination and process the intense feelings typical of adolescence. And of course, this time jump also rekindles one of the audience's biggest curiosities, Bluey's love life. Some believe that Jean-Luc, now older and speaking English, may come back to play an important role in her story, either by visiting Australia or having Bluey visit him in France. Others bet on Mackenzie, a friend who has been much more present in her school and personal life. Whatever direction it takes, the movie has the potential to surprise by showing how Bluey will face the dilemmas of adolescence and mature right before our eyes. And speaking of our eyes, something that many fans are worried about with the movie is that they're going to completely change the drawing style. We're used to seeing the 2D cartoon in a very traditional kind of animation, but the movie will take another approach, and it's going to be a completely 3D animation, meaning it will be an entire film made in CGI. That's going to make things feel very different, don't you think? But at the same time, it has the potential to be really beautiful, since this type of animation has evolved a lot in recent years. And as we can see with K-pop Warriors or the Spider-Man movies in the Spider-Verse, the mix between traditional animation and 3D works really well. But there's another thing that works really well too, which is the subscribe button. Want to test it for me? Then stick around and stay subscribed. That way you'll find out everything about the Bluey movie before anyone else. And speaking of fans' concerns, this one is the biggest of all. One of the most important points this Bluey movie might bring doesn't even have that much to do with the story itself, but with the creator behind it. Joe Brumm has already revealed in an open letter on the official website that he has been facing creative blocks when writing about this stage of childhood, and that he even thought of the sign as a kind of farewell to the series. With that, the movie could open two paths. Either he reconnects with Bluey and finds inspiration to write an amazing new season, or he really decides to step away for good, leaving the series to someone else or even ending it. Since he's the brain behind all the episodes, a lot of people believe that replacing Joe just wouldn't be the same. And so the question remains, will the movie reignite the flame or mark the definitive end of Bluey?